Now I saw a hand raised over there. Yeah.
When I see paintings, I always see the colors.
Yes.
The different means the sadness or the warmth, and also the hues, the contrast, the brightness. So do you kind of touch that to the students as a background, like the Joan of Arc in the forest? It's pretty neutral, the color, but the other one is red, so there's like the liveliness, and then this one, even though she's waiting for somebody, it's like the lover side of the waiting, because she's wearing red, versus mourning for someone that wishing them to come back. Then I think the painting will be dark and kind of grayish.
Yeah, I do. The question is, to what extent do I talk about colors as helping to add to the emotions or the theme of the painting? And one thing I focus on is that in order to a good painting, like a good portrayal of a character, or like a good theme in a novel, all the details are going to add to support that theme. So, taking a look at this painting over here. She has luxurious red robes and golden interior. She has all this inside here, and it catches your eye, and it's beautiful. But she is not interested in it. She's looking outside at this sunset. It's darkening. So we look at the colors as one portion of how it adds to the theme. Yes?
Is it possible to get the most out of art appreciation without a historical perspective? Really understanding the history of what was going on during that time. I know that was just a really good explanation of a basic emotion that she might be feeling, but it is important, isn't it? I mean, you can't just walk into a gallery and really not know anything and really get the full appreciation without knowing the history.
The question is, can you really get the most out of a painting without knowing the historical background? Yes and no. It depends on what you mean by historical background. If you mean the story that this painting and these characters are part of, you ought to know that. You should know that. You ought to find out about it. If, however, you mean the art history of the painting, what was going on in the 19th century when Frank Dixie painted this? What were his influences? What was the stylistic movement he was a part of? That is something that I spent my college career doing, art history. But it is not necessary to appreciating the aesthetic value of the painting. Just as when you go to see a movie, you don't have with you a tour guide who tells you all about the influences on this director or the spats the actors had when they were making the movie. No. You don't have any historical background while you're experiencing the movie. And in the same way, the art historical background is not necessary. However, knowing who the characters are does add a lot. One analogy that's helpful, I think, is to think of a movie and then of a painting as pausing that movie at a key moment. So you have the movie of her life that you're watching. She's over here and things go on, and then pause, and you capture this scene. And having the context of what is happening before in the movie helps you understand what's happening now. Okay? Yes?
So when the kids go on their own to a museum, do you think what you teach them in class provides them with a tool set to do it on their own? Or is there... Obviously you have a process that you've introduced to them.
Yeah.
Is that something that they're capable of I mean, I assume it's probably not as sophisticated as the way you present it, but...
Whether it's in the classroom or I'll tell you what I tell my tour attendees. I tell them that the purpose of my tour is for you to be able to attend a museum without a tour guide, on your own, just you and the artworks, with the requisite knowledge for understanding what to do in front of a painting. So the question was, are the students able to apply the methods, the process themselves after they've learned it to go into museums and to works of art? Short answer is yes, absolutely. Because what I do is, we did a quick fire version, and I break down the whole process and put it into assignments or into fun activities. So for example, one of the first things I would have the students do is, while we were just quickly going over, and I was telling you most of what the painting held, or quickly going over what was in the painting of Joan of Arc, we were doing a reading. What I would have the students do is write down everything that they're seeing. Everything. No matter how trivial it may seem, because of course in a good work of art, nothing is trivial, everything is purposeful. So I do have an example of this. All right, so here's a reading of this painting from a 9-year-old. And I tell them, just write, don't lift up the pencil, whatever you're looking at, you jot it down. Lady sitting on a chair reaching out her window, looks sad, long dress, long red dress, long red hair, it looks like she has a crown on. Out of her window, there's the ocean. She is wringing her hands. She has a cloak on, the cloak is bejeweled. Her face and hands are white. She looks like a queen because the chair looks like a throne with red velvet and gold. There are yellow, red, purple, and blue curtains with flowers on them. Outside her window is a curly pillar. It looks like it is a sunset with a beautiful sky. Very white, puffy clouds. And then after they experience the artwork themselves, then we go through and we break down the painting into its characteristic elements. So just like in literature, you have characters, you have plot, you have setting, you have theme. Same thing in painting, you have characters, you have setting, and then you have a particular kind of theme, which is the moment depicted. And from our experience with the students going to museums, they enjoy applying the process.